Defense experts, UFO enthusiasts, all scratching their head in the wake of an appearance of a mysterious aircraft over the West Coast last month. The Air Force, the FAA, individual pilots all agree that an unknown aircraft of some kind was traveling north above Oregon. What was the plane? Why was it there? And why can't we know for certain? Because nobody does at this point. Tyler Rogaway is editor of The War Zone. It's a defense news site, and he joins us tonight. Tyler, this is a pretty well-traveled air lane from what I can tell. Why in 2017 don't we know what this was?
You know, and that's the crazy thing about this is one of those rare deals where with all the corroboration, including the FAA and NORAD and pilots, we still have no idea what this aircraft was. Now, it could very well be, Tucker, that the FAA and the DoD are looking into this and they're going to potentially figure out what this was, or they might already know. But we just don't know at this time. And it definitely is a quality assurance issue for the FAA.
Quality assurance issue, yeah, and there's some other concerns about it too. So what did it look like, did they say?
Well, all we know, it was a white aircraft. It had the same type of performance as a jet. It was flying at between 35,000 and 40,000 feet, where probably you fly all the time when you travel.
Commercial airliner, yeah.
And yeah, and so it looked like, but nobody could make out the type. So that does leave it a little bit questionable, as if it was an airliner or potentially a military aircraft.
But an airliner would, of course, be identified. It would have a transponder on, right?
Right. This did not have any communications, no transponder, so no identification or altitude for Seattle Center to see, and it was not really trackable on radar. They did not have a consistent primary return. So this had all three going for it. It basically wasn't there, aside from the pilots that literally were asked by Seattle Center to look outside and say, hey, is it there? And all of them did see it. And it was this went on for multiple, 10, 15 minutes, and possibly longer. We just don't have the radio tapes for that other section of Seattle Center, the area that they control.
Well, that's just absolutely bizarre and kind of threatening. I mean, you'd think that our air traffic control would have a handle on what's in a commercial airlane, no?
Yeah, I mean, they were really trying to figure out what was going on. They launched F-15s after this, Tucker, and those jets at that base have the most powerful air-to-air radar in the world, and other upgrades, and they couldn't find it. Even NORAD told me, they said they went up and they looked around, and it wasn't there.
So what are the options? I mean, if the F-15s couldn't find it, then what could it be?
Right, and that's really what a lot of people are asking, of course. And some people say maybe it was a smuggler, somebody that bought a Lear for very cheap that was not flyable and just flew it for some reason, maybe up to Canada. That's very improbable. Another one is maybe a military aircraft that's straight off the range, like an unmanned system. The DoD is working heavily in the high end of unmanned aircraft space that they don't talk about. And you remember in 2011 when an RQ-170 Sentinel stealth drone, surveillance drone, fell into the hands of Iran. That aircraft strayed from its course and actually fell, like I say, into the enemy's hands. So the idea that it could potentially fly into Oregon off one of the ranges in northern Nevada isn't totally out of the question.
Right, and there are other explanations too, which we'll leave to the imagination of our viewers. Tyler, thank you very much for that.
It was great being here. Thanks, Tucker.
Thank you.